A Concordia University pharmacy student murdered.
Tonight, Ariel Spillner's family sits down with 12 News. The 26-year-old died in a shooting right near 39th and Lancaster Tuesday night.
Inside the School of Pharmacy at Concordia University Thursday, bouquets of flowers for loved ones of Ariel Spillner.
When she graduated, she wanted to move to Florida and be a pharmacist there.
Why did she want to be a pharmacist?
She wants to help people. She loves helping others. She would give you the clothes off her back if you needed it.
Courtney is Ariel's older sister.
I had talked to her at 8 o'clock that evening, and everything was fine. She was her goofy self, laughing, smiling, joking around.
Less than 2 hours later, at 39th and Lancaster, police say someone shot and killed Ariel.
Do you remember the last thing that you guys said to each other?
We told each other we loved each other when we hung up the phone. We always say it. This time it's just a little more special.
Police say a 31-year-old woman was also shot. She survived, and it's who police arrested in connection to Ariel's death. Courtney telling us the two were friends.
So she was friends with her.
The other woman?
The other woman, yes.
Okay.
It was her birthday, I guess, and she probably just went over there to celebrate.
Those closest to Ariel tell us they're still trying to piece together what happened at that house on 39th Street. At her school Thursday, family and friends leaned on each other for support.
It's heartbreaking. If there's anyone that deserved to live out their dreams, it's Ariel.
She's an incredible person who was taken way too soon. She had so much more life left to live.
It was an ordinary night in Milwaukee, the kind of evening where you feel safe, the lights soft and familiar, and dreams still feel possible. Ariel Spillner, a 26-year-old pharmacy student at Concordia University, was driving toward a friend's house. She had plans, laughter in her voice, a future she believed in. She'd just celebrated her birthday, and her sister called earlier. The last words they shared, "I love you." That night, she thought she was with someone she trusted, someone she considered a friend. They had shared a simple moment, smoking together, talking, relaxing. But according to court documents, something shifted. Paranoia crept in like a shadow. Her friend, Jamaica Simone Mills, called her a threat, said she feared Ariel would hurt her. Mills reportedly ran to her bedroom, pulled out a gun, and in a flash, her world and Ariel's world collided with devastating force. A single shot echoed through the house. Ariel fell, found unresponsive. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Mills, meanwhile, turned the weapon on herself, suffering a serious wound in the chaos that followed. In the hours afterward, friends and family were left reeling. Ariel wasn't just any student. She was known for her warmth, her compassion, her unwavering ability to care for others. Her sister later said she was the best person you could ask for as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter. Now, a community is asking how something so normal, a night of friendship, a shared joint, could end in a nightmare. What turned comfort into fear? How did trust spiral into tragedy? Today, we dive into the heartbreaking story of Ariel Spillner, her dreams, her final moments, and the shocking chain of events that led to her death. Through court records, interviews, and legal filings, we'll piece together what really happened and why no one saw it coming. Because behind every tragic headline is a real person. Ariel was more than a victim. She was a student with a bright future, a sister with promises, a friend with endless kindness. And in her story, we'll explore something far bigger than this one event. How trust, fear, and misunderstanding can become a deadly combination. Stay with us. Ariel's life was worth more than this moment. Welcome to Lat True Crime Stories. I am your host. Today we are breaking down one of the most twisted cases you've ever seen. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and leave your comment to tell us where you're watching from. Let's build this community together. Now let's get into it. The story of Ariel Spillner doesn't begin on the night everything went wrong. It begins long before, in the warmth of a family that cherished her, in the laughter she shared with her siblings, in the dreams she carried as a young woman determined to make her mark on the world. Ariel was the kind of person who left gentle fingerprints on everything she touched. Born and raised in Milwaukee, she grew up surrounded by a close-knit family that understood the weight of love, responsibility, and ambition. From an early age, Her mother remembers her as a child who cared deeply, who offered help before it was asked for, who defended classmates others ignored. Becoming a healthcare professional felt less like a career choice and more like a natural extension of who she already was. She pushed herself not because anyone demanded it, but because she believed she was meant to uplift people. And so when she enrolled in Concordia University's pharmacy program, it felt like a perfect fit. Ariel wasn't just a student, she was a future healer, someone who didn't mind late nights with textbooks or long hours in labs. She saw meaning in it all, knowing that every ounce of effort brought her closer to being able to help others. Her friends often said Ariel had a light about her, not loud or showy, but calm, kind, steady. She remembered birthdays, checked in on friends silently struggling, and showed up for people without needing recognition. She was the person you trusted with secrets, the person you leaned on when the world felt too heavy. And that's what makes the events of October 8th so haunting. Ariel walked into a space she believed was safe, with someone she believed was her friend. Her relationship with Jamaica Simone Mills wasn't new, nor was it tense. They had spent time together before, simple, everyday moments. Nothing about their history suggested danger. Nothing indicated that one day would unravel into tragedy. On that Tuesday night, Ariel wasn't headed to a party. She wasn't out looking for trouble or stepping into a risky situation. According to family and investigators, she simply went to visit Mills, someone she trusted enough to sit with, talk with, relax with. It was the kind of visit thousands of young adults make every night across the country. Casual, familiar, and harmless. They shared a joint, talked, and spent time the way friends often do. And in the quiet between conversations, Ariel couldn't have known that something inside Mills was shifting. According to the criminal complaint later filed, Mills began displaying intense paranoia, a sudden and alarming conviction that Ariel meant to harm her.
As we come back, Milwaukee police are investigating a shooting that left a 26-year-old pharmacy student dead. Her name, Ariel Spillner.
Ariel Preciado listened to her family today, and they tell her they want to know what happened.
She was the brightest light in every room. You would walk in and you would see her infectious smile.
It's an emotional tribute.
She would do anything for anybody at any point in time, day or night. That's why she wanted to be a pharmacist. She just always had that drive to help people.
Courtney Spillner did not think she would be doing for her little sister, Ariel Spillner.
We talked every single day and night.
Even though they were 4 years apart in age, they shared a bond only sisters could understand.
It makes me proud to be her sister and how amazing she was as a person everywhere she went.
On Thursday, her family gathered at Concordia University's School of Pharmacy, where classmates, friends, professors, and family remember the 26-year-old.
We were supposed to watch her graduate and walk. So that's going to be hard not being able to see those major milestones for her.
Now her family is trying to piece together what happened after the aspiring pharmacist was shot and killed near 39th and Lancaster Tuesday.
We know that she was at a friend's house celebrating a birthday.
The family tells us they spoke with her an hour and a half before she was killed. Now Milwaukee police say they have a 31-year-old woman in custody connected to Spillner's death.
My sister's talked about her before, but we haven't met her. We don't know much about her, but she was her friend.
As the family mourns and tries to piece everything together, police say this is still an open investigation.
It's just been very difficult. I just don't know how to navigate through any of this.
What caused this mental spiral isn't entirely clear, but what is clear is the depth of the fear Mills claimed to feel. Still, despite what was happening inside that home, Ariel didn't see her friend through a lens of fear. She didn't run. She didn't argue. She didn't fight. She trusted, because that is who she was, someone who saw the best in people. Meanwhile, her family had no warning of the nightmare forming beyond their reach. To them, Ariel was simply out for the evening. She would return home, as she always did. She would prepare for school, finish her assignments, laugh with her sister, share late-night texts with friends. Her life was steady, full, moving toward a future she had worked so hard to build. Hours before the tragedy, she was smiling in photos. She was talking about her goals. She was thinking ahead, imagining what her life would look like once she graduated, Once she started working in a field that would allow her to care for people every day. But as midnight approached, the light inside that house dimmed. Mills' fear, according to investigators, spiraled so sharply that she retreated to a bedroom, retrieved a firearm, and returned with a belief that Ariel was a threat. Statements later collected show that she insisted she was acting in self-defense, that the paranoia gripping her made her feel as though Ariel was dangerous. There was no evidence this was true. Ariel was unarmed. Ariel was calm. Ariel had no intention of hurting anyone. And yet, through the fog of fear and confusion, Mills held the gun. In the hours leading up to the moment everything shattered, no neighbors heard fighting. No one reported screams. There was no pounding on walls, no crashing furniture. Only the heavy silence of a quiet home where trust had quietly transformed into terror. This is the part of the story that weighs the heaviest. Ariel had no idea her life was in danger. She was simply present, unaware of how quickly the dynamic in the room had changed. She had no way of reading her friends' unraveling thoughts. She couldn't possibly anticipate that a single wrong interpretation, a mental flicker of paranoia, would become fatal.
Right now, an arrest made in the killing of a 26-year-old pharmacy student. Family identifying the woman shot and killed as Ariel Spillner.
Each picture of Ariel Spillner has the same beaming smile. It's what her family wanted us to share, her infectious laugh and smile, here pictured in her pharmacy coat. From the Madison area, the 26-year-old had 1 year of classes left at the Concordia University School of Pharmacy. Detectives surrounding 39th and Lancaster Tuesday night, where she was found shot to death.
I was shocked, though, because right here by my house, I'm like, whoa.
Stephen Reese lives nearby and was shocked to hear about the death.
Just have a life taken away from her, that's not good, that's sad, and it just hurts my heart, though, to hear about somebody like that, a college student.
A 31-year-old woman was also shot. But at the hospital, police arrested her.
What took place in that house back here? Only God knows.
Hershey Sebring telling 12 News the woman still in the hospital is her niece. She came to the scene Wednesday looking for answers.
I just couldn't believe that what's going on here. They said they heard a lot of arguing and busting and yelling and screaming, and all of a sudden they heard something like a big old boom.
Knowing that your niece could potentially be a suspect in the shooting, what do you make of that?
My niece is living. She gonna tell y'all what happened.
Prosecutors now say paranoia led a woman to shoot and kill her friend in Milwaukee last week. Christina Benzels is live tonight with the new charges filed and with word of another arrest.
Ted, the funeral for Ariel Spillner is happening right now in DeForest. On Sunday, prosecutors charged a 31-year-old woman in connection to her death. We did catch up with the victim's family in this case before that funeral, who tell us they do not believe those charges are harsh enough. Prosecutors charged 32-year-old Jamaica Mills with first-degree reckless homicide. Investigators say last week she shot and killed her friend, 26-year-old Ariel Spillner.
We're not handling it very well at all. We don't know anyone who would want to hurt Ariel in any way, shape, or form. And it's hard that an apparent friend would do this to her.
Police responded to the home near 39th and Lancaster just before 10 p.m. Tuesday. Prosecutors say Spillner died at the scene. Investigators say Mills was also shot and was uncooperative with police and hospital staff.
To have this happen, it's bizarre. It's overwhelming.
Prosecutors say Mills told police the two were smoking weed and she became paranoid that Spillner was going to stab her. Mills then told investigators she shot Spillner and accidentally shot herself. Prosecutors say Mills told police she never intended to kill her friend.
There needs to be justice for her. This was not warranted. This was not right.
Police search warrants reveal another person living at that home was arrested in connection to the homicide. That person hasn't been formally charged, so we're not naming them. Investigators believe that person lied to police about what happened.
I don't know what to believe. I really don't.
Spillner's family members say they do not want a plea deal and instead are pushing for a harsher charge, first-degree intentional homicide.
She didn't have anyone to speak on her behalf on what happened there. So we need to continue to say her name and get her justice that she deserves.
Back at home, Her family had no reason to worry. They were used to Ariel taking time for herself, relaxing with friends, enjoying small pockets of peace in between demanding school days. She was responsible, grounded, and not the type of person who put herself in risky situations. But as the clock ticked forward, Ariel's world and Mills' world collided in a way neither could undo. Moments later, one decision, one misunderstanding magnified by fear, would change everything. And by the time first responders arrived, Ariel's future had already been taken from her. When the call finally came into Milwaukee police, it sounded urgent, confused, frighteningly fragmented. The kind of call where the dispatcher can hear panic in every breath. Officers rushed toward the quiet home on North 95th Street, a neighborhood where nothing about the early morning hinted at the tragedy waiting inside. Porch lights glowed softly. Wind rustled trees. But behind one door, the world had already collapsed. Inside, officers found Ariel, still unresponsive, and far beyond the reach of help. The scene was chilling not because of chaos, but because of the absence of it. No overturned furniture. No signs of a struggle. No indicators that Ariel had fought for her life. She hadn't seen the danger coming, and investigators could feel that truth immediately. And standing nearby was the woman who had ended everything, Jamaica Simone Mills. The officers' initial reports noted something unsettling about her behavior. She wasn't frantic in the way someone normally would be after an act of violence. She seemed scattered, confused, almost detached from the magnitude of what had happened. She made statements that didn't make sense, contradicting herself, shifting between claiming threat and fear, and moments later sounding shocked at her own actions. When detectives asked what happened, her words spilled out in broken pieces. She insisted Ariel had been trying to hurt her. She said she felt cornered. She claimed she acted to protect herself, that Ariel, her friend, had somehow become an enemy in those final moments. But nothing in the room supported that claim. No weapon near Ariel. No sign she had lunged or fought. No defensive wounds suggesting a struggle. And perhaps the most damning detail, Ariel had been shot while sitting down. Detectives knew immediately that this was not mutual violence. This was not a fight that escalated. This was something else, something rooted deep inside Mills' own mind. As they secured the scene, her statements continued shifting, each version more unstable than the last. She admitted they had smoked together, that things had felt strange, and that she was overwhelmed by a sudden conviction that Ariel meant to harm her. She couldn't explain why she felt this way. She couldn't point to anything Ariel had done. Paranoia had consumed her. That much became clearer with every minute. Meanwhile, the news reached Ariel's family like a bolt of lightning, sharp, devastating, unbelievable. One moment they were scrolling through their phones, expecting a text back from her. The next they were receiving the call that no parent is ever prepared to hear. Their shock turned to grief. Their grief turned to pleading questions. How could this happen? Why her? Why there? Why with someone she trusted? Nothing about the situation made sense, and the lack of answers only made the pain sharper. Ariel wasn't reckless. She didn't put herself in dangerous environments. She wasn't involved in conflicts. She wasn't the kind of person who had enemies. The only person in that house who had become a threat was the one holding the weapon, the one in the grip of a mental spiral so intense she couldn't distinguish between danger and delusion. As investigators pieced together the timeline, they interviewed neighbors, family members, friends, anyone who could help them understand the state of the relationship between Ariel and Mills. Everyone said the same thing. There was no known conflict, no grudge, no argument brewing beneath the surface. Ariel hadn't expressed fear, frustration, or concern about Mills. If anything, she seemed at ease spending time with her. That contrast became the emotional center of the investigation. One woman grounded in reality, the other swept into a storm of paranoia that no one saw coming. Detectives pressed further into Mills' mindset that night. Her statements, though inconsistent, painted a picture of fear. Not the fear of someone in true danger, but the fear of someone whose mind had betrayed her. She mentioned feeling watched, feeling threatened, believing that something terrible was about to happen. The paranoia crescendoed until logic dissolved completely. Her decision to retrieve the gun from her bedroom was the turning point. It wasn't a moment of self-defense. It was a moment driven by the delusion that only she could see. When she returned to the living room where Ariel sat, she believed she was preventing something, protecting herself from an imagined threat. And in that fractured mental state, perception became deadly. The emotional conflict extended beyond the investigation. For Ariel's family, grief collided violently with disbelief. They tried to comprehend how a visit to a friend could reach such a tragic end. They asked themselves whether Ariel had sensed anything, even the smallest shift in mood, and stayed because she trusted Mills. They wondered whether she had reassured her friend, tried to calm her, tried to understand what was wrong. They would never know. For Mills, the conflict took another form, the dawning awareness of what she had done as her paranoia faded and reality returned. At the police station, hours after the incident, she began asking questions that revealed a terrifying truth. The fear that had driven her actions was gone. She was no longer convinced Ariel had planned to harm her. She no longer felt menaced or unsafe. The clarity only sharpened the weight of what she had destroyed. She asked if Ariel was okay. When detectives told her the truth, she broke down. But the grief that Mills felt, however real, would never equal the magnitude of a loss endured by the family left behind. Ariel's future had been stolen. Her work, her dreams, her presence, all taken in a house where she had believed she was safe. The deeper the investigation went, the more painful the answers became. This wasn't a story of rivalry or revenge. It wasn't a story of escalating conflict. It was a story of trust. One woman offered it freely, without fear. The other was consumed by a paranoia powerful enough to make her believe the unthinkable. And that contrast would define the emotional battle leading toward the courtroom. A battle between grief and guilt, between truth and delusion, between a life full of promise and a night in which everything unraveled. The courtroom filled slowly on the day of the hearing, each row of benches holding a different kind of heartbreak. On one side sat Ariel Spillner's family, quiet, grieving, still carrying the weight of a loss too heavy for words. On the other sat Jamaica Simone Mills, escorted in, her hands clasped, her expression hollow. She looked smaller than she had the night of the tragedy, as though the reality of her actions had chipped away layers of her identity. The room was tense, not with anger alone, but with sorrow, a sorrow shared, though in vastly different ways. The evidence had been clear from the start. The autopsy report confirmed what investigators already knew. Ariel had been shot, the act delivered suddenly and without warning. The forensic findings contradicted every claim Mills had initially tried to make. The position of Ariel's body, the lack of defensive marks, the absence of any sign of aggression from her. Everything pointed to the same truth. She had been a victim of another person's unraveling mind. The prosecution laid out the sequence carefully, respectfully, step by step. They didn't dramatize. They didn't need to. The facts carried their own heaviness. Ariel had trusted Mills. She had been sitting, unarmed, unaware. There had been no fight, no argument, no threat of any kind. She was simply there, and then she was gone. As the prosecutor spoke, Ariel's mother pressed a tissue to her eyes, her shoulders shaking despite her efforts to stay composed. Every mention of Ariel's name felt like reopening a wound still fresh, still bleeding. Mills sat silently, her gaze fixed downward, absorbing every word as though each one added a new stone to the pile she had already been carrying. She didn't deny what she had done. She didn't dispute the evidence. She didn't push back against the charges. Instead, she admitted it. She admitted that paranoia had consumed her, that she had acted in fear, but fear rooted in delusion, not reality. She admitted she had retrieved the gun voluntarily. She admitted that Ariel had done nothing to provoke her. She admitted the truth that the investigation had revealed all along. Ariel had simply been in the wrong place, at the wrong moment, with someone whose mind had collapsed into confusion and dread. The judge listened carefully, weighing the tragedy as a whole, the life lost, the life damaged, the families forever changed. When the final recommendation was read and Mills entered her plea, the courtroom seemed to exhale. She pled guilty. There was no trial, no extended fight, no attempt to twist the story into something it wasn't. Her guilty plea was an acknowledgement, a sign that she was no longer hiding behind the distorted fear that had driven her actions that night. The plea also meant Ariel's family would not have to sit through a prolonged recounting of the tragedy. They wouldn't have to hear the details again and again. They wouldn't have to relive every moment through evidence photos or procedural arguments. Still, the pain didn't soften. Ariel's mother spoke, her voice trembling as she addressed the court. She talked about the daughter she lost, the daughter who loved deeply, who laughed loudly, who cared for people with her whole heart. She spoke about the dreams Ariel had, the future she was building, the life that was supposed to stretch far beyond the night. She walked into Mill's home. Her words cut through the courtroom like a quiet storm, not angry, but aching. She didn't speak about vengeance. She didn't scream or blame or strike out. Instead, she spoke about absence, the empty chair at family gatherings, the phone that would never ring again, the milestones her daughter would never reach. And she spoke about something else, too, the bewildering cruelty of losing someone to a friend's delusion. Not conflict, not rivalry, not hatred. Delusion, a threat no one saw until it was too late. When she finished, the room was silent. Even the judge needed a moment before continuing. The sentence was clear. Mills would serve a substantial prison term, held accountable for the life she took. But there was no sense of triumph in the courtroom. Justice, in this case, didn't feel like victory. It felt like acknowledgement, a way of saying Ariel's life mattered, that what happened to her was not excusable, not forgettable, not something to be lost in the fog of someone else's mental unraveling. As deputies escorted Mills away, she turned once, not toward the judge, not toward the attorneys, but toward Ariel's family. Her face was streaked with tears. She didn't speak, but the expression alone revealed everything: regret, devastation, and the crushing truth that nothing she did from that moment forward could ever undo what she had taken. Outside the courthouse, reporters waited. Cameras clicked. Microphones were raised. But Ariel's family didn't linger to give long statements. They held one another closely, their grief unified, their strength quiet but unmistakable. They had lost someone irreplaceable, and no sentence, no matter how appropriate, could return her. Over the following days, the community reflected on the tragedy, the senselessness of it, the fragility of life, and the unseen dangers posed when someone's mental state spirals without intervention. The story wasn't just about violence. It was about the unpredictable intersections between vulnerability and paranoia, about how quickly a life could be stolen in a moment of distorted fear. For those who knew Ariel, memories became a lifeline. They talked about her bright presence, her kindness, her humor. They shared photos and stories, keeping her spirit alive in the small ways that matter most. Her name became a reminder, not just of a tragedy, but of a life that deserved more time, more love, more days. And for viewers hearing her story now, the message lingers long after the final moment fades. Some tragedies unfold without warning, without sense, without clear explanation. But remembering the victims, honoring their humanity, their dreams, their light, is how we make sure their stories don't vanish into the quiet. Ariel Spillner should still be here. She should still be laughing, working, loving, building her future. Instead, we tell her story to ensure she's not forgotten. If you found yourself moved by Ariel's life, by the fragility and urgency of the moments we often take for granted, consider sharing this video so others can know her name. Leave a candle emoji in the comments to honor her memory. And if you want to continue exploring the stories that remind us how precious and unpredictable life can be, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Some stories change us. Ariel's is one of them.